Hello and welcome to Matters Arising with me, Charles Bossy. And of course, on Matters Arising, you know we bring you the news. But not just the news, we bring you the news behind the news. And of course, we pick very topical issues in the polity, particularly those that were headlines in the last week. One of those issues has to do with defections. And of course, we have witnessed several defections in the last couple of weeks. And of course, protracting back home here to Delta State, there were speculations that Senator Ned Nwoko will be actually defecting to the APC. Well, speculations were rife. And of course, finally, he has officially defected with a letter of resignation handed over to his former party, the PDP. So officially, he is now left, and we're looking forward to hear what he's going to be doing in the next party, talking about the APC. His defection is not quite news, but why did he defect? We'll talk about that. From the defection of the distinguished senator, we're going to be going into something also very related to politics. The PDP had been the major political party that has been an opposition to the ruling APC, having lost elections after a very long span in office. We also note that the Labour Party sprung a surprise in the last election, with Peter Obi leading that party in the last elections, and of course didn't win the elections, but it placed itself a very formidable opposition. And one would have thought that with the PDP and the Labour Party as opposition would have a very good strength of opposition helping to make governance work in the beauty of democracy. But what seems to happen? We have realized that there's so much crisis in the Labour Party, factionalization, the Aburi-led faction and the Nadi Usman-led faction. And then what about the PDP? One trouble too many. All right, we'll be talking about that. Why are these things happening? And finally, we shall be going into the issue of an economic story that has to do with our natural resources. Illegal mining has been a challenge in Nigeria. Who are those behind it? It's no news that there's been illegal mining, but who is behind it? And that's where we'll be talking about this behind the news. Okay? And when we're done with that, we'll bring it to a drop on the program. But before then, let's go on a break. We'll be having two guests in the studio to be analyzing this one after the other. But just before then, stay with me and join us again. It's Matters Arising.
Matters Arising. We don't just bring you the news. It's the news and the news behind the news. A sectorial analysis of stories from economy, politics, environment, education, agriculture, and all sectors of the socio-economy. Matters Arising. Not just news, but news behind the news. Only on West Television.
Welcome back. Yeah, like we said earlier on Matters Arising, it's no news that there's a series of defections from the PDP to the ruling APC. It's no news. But what is news is why the defections at this time, and what do those who are defecting, what are those defectors actually looking for, leaving the ruling party, or rather the actual party, the PDP, down to the ruling party. Of course, with me this afternoon, or rather this morning, depending on the part of the world you're watching us from, is a cerebral gentleman, an activist, and a very, very renowned, human rights activist in Delta State, a man who is talking politics, talking security, and talking so many things in the polity. I'm talking about Victor O.J. One Box. You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. It feels good to be here. Welcome, viewers.
It's quite an exciting one getting to meet you here, and I do know that your presence here will help add value to this discussion.
Of course.
All right, now let's get straight to the business. It's no news that people have defected from one party to the other. And I'm also worried that it appears there is a law that talks about defection. There is also a law that protects the sanctity of the party's role of sponsoring a political candidate to any election. Okay, the Constitution says a party shall sponsor a candidate for a particular election, which means that it's not the candidate that is actually the owner of the ticket. It's the party that owns the ticket. And that's very clear in the case of Amechi, where he had issues, and it was, of course, the Supreme Court had ruled that it wasn't Amechi it wasn't Omeha that held the ticket. It was the PDP that held the ticket. And if there were internal wranglings, there was something wrong with those wranglings, and actually it wasn't Omeha, it was actually Amechi. So Amechi, who didn't even actually, contest or go around the rigors of the election, ended up becoming the candidate automatically, and in fact, the governor. Now tell us, why the defections at this time?
Defection can only be seen in this climb of the world, the third world mostly. When you go to USA or Canada, if you are a conservative, you are a conservative for life. If you are a Republican, you are a Republican for life. If you are a Democrat, you are a liberal.
All right.
Because in other climes, they do have what we call ideology. They are driven by ideology. But in our climb here in Nigeria and in the third world, they are not driven by ideology but by personal interest. Take note that every party has an ideology.
Supposedly, no, I must add that
every party has an ideology.
In principle.
In their constitution.
Why I ask that is basically because when you look at the configuration of Nigerian political parties, they seem to have very good manifestos and philosophies. But when it comes to practice, we don't seem to see this. That's the reason why one person can jump from one party that has a belief in a particular thing and move into another party that has a belief in a total different thing. So do you still believe that they're ideologies or philosophies?
No, in book.
That's why I asked
we have ideologies from this party.
In principle, okay.
But practically, it is zero ideology. It's all about your personal interest.
All right.
If your personal interest is not protected by the party you belong to, you jump ship. While there are still cases of those that will not want to jump ship, they would rather remain in the party to sink the ship.
Okay, now if I may ask this very, would I say, important question. We do know that if you leave your party and jump ship to another party while you have won office from party A and you're now proclaiming party B membership, you lose your seat. That's what the Constitution says. Now tell us, why are the politicians doing this with impunity and very comfortable in doing this? Has anybody lost their seat? To the best of my knowledge, no. Why has it not happened?
The fact remains that in Nigeria, our politicians are too intelligent, too smart. They are very good. They know the rules of engagement. And they know how to outsmart every law. Whether they're in Nigeria, whether they're in abroad. Take note that these persons that are jump shipping, they are jump shipping because of their personal interest, like I said earlier on. They are jump shipping because of their personal interest. The politicians already know that you cannot defect to another party and go with your position.
Now,
what do they do?
Yeah.
They also know that there's a clause that gives platform or that prescribes from the electoral law, from the 1999 Constitution as amended, that gives you the platform that when your party has internal crisis.
That's the only provision in the Constitution that would give you that leeway to cross carpet and be comfortable and protected by law.
Yes, of
course. But when there is no crisis and you're leaving your party, definitely it will be held against you as long as that law is concerned.
But it has never happened in Nigeria.
Well, we'll talk about why it hasn't happened.
Politicians are intelligent. They will create a platform. They will create the aura, the environment for crisis to occur, like we are seeing now in.
They would create an environment. You think the party members will willfully create that crisis to destroy the very party they built, and sometimes the very party that had created platforms for them to go into political offices?
Of course, if their personal interest is not protected, like we are seeing currently, we also saw the resignation letter of Senator Ned Nwoko. He believes that his goal and his vision for his people in Niger, in Delta North, the party is not giving him the capacity to deliver. So he is now advocating to his people that I will not be able to achieve my promises, my campaign promises, my social contract with you. That is why I'm jump ship into the APC. Because the APC possibly must have given him assurance that they are going to give him such environment, conducive environment, to ensure that
perhaps the ticket to run on the platform of his
they're not
party.
really assuring him the ticket, but they are assuring him that when he jump ships, they are going to give him the environment, because there is going to be a primary.
Definitely.
So his success will not depend on if there will be an agreement within the party that they are going to
have an
hand over
automatic
the
ticket
to him.
Yeah,
There
talking
will be
about
no competition.
talking about primaries, you know, we have a challenge with internal democracies, internal democracies in our various parties. There was a time in this country where we just had situations such that once one is anointed, you have the automatic ticket. So the rest of you who are vying are just going to try your luck or just doing it for records purposes. We'll talk about that, but let me just ask a question that I would like you to put some clarifications to. The Constitution, you know, in layman's terms, will allow you or, you know, give you the leeway to cross-carpet if your party has crisis. But if this crisis is at the national level of the party and not within the state, does it still flow?
Of course, because what affects the head will affect the tail. If you cut off the head of the beast will no longer survive.
But we know politics is local.
We all know politics is local.
And even if you're the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you register from your ward.
Leadership is very important in every political party. If the leadership are having issue, the followership will also have issue to affect the followership. So as far as whether the party is having issue on the grassroots, at the unit level or the ward level or the national level, a problem is a problem. If you put a drop of bad water inside a drop of clean water, the entire water becomes polluted water.
Absolutely.
So that is the case, whether it's at the unit level, the ward level, the national level, or local government level, a problem is a problem. A crisis is a crisis.
Now, do you see any internal influence in the crisis in these parties? Because I'm wondering if the Labour Party would deliberately just shoot itself on the foot, or the PDP in its prolonged brouhaha over the years. You know, it didn't even start today. It appears it even began way back before the present crisis we have. Do you think there's some external influence?
Of course. You know,
and where could that be coming from?
You see, President Tinubu is, if not the most intelligent president and a politician, a strategist that Nigeria has ever seen, because of his exposure from the military regime to his advocacy for NADECO that brought in this democracy that we are in today since 1998, 1999 to date. So he has been part of Awolowo, he was part of Bola Ige, he was with Abacha, he was with Babangida, he was with everybody. Take note that as a governor, he was able to conquer the entire southwest region. He influenced the entire southwest. President Tinubu is an expansionist, and he's not going to change that element or that factor, that property that he has in him. You can see that the body language is already tilting towards the south of Nigeria. I'm talking about the Niger Delta. President Tinubu has interest in the Niger Delta. We also what happened to Edo State election. And what happened in Edo State election, definitely, if care is not taken, is going to repeat itself in the entire south region.
Analyzing it politically, not like a soothsayer. Tell us, what do you think this portends for the next general election as far as the APC is concerned in the southeast and south-south?
Nigeria is heading towards a one-party state. And President Tinubu is going to ensure that he achieves that before he finishes his second tenure.
Why do you say so?
Because President Tinubu is an expansionist. He is just like Julius Caesar, who believes in conquering the world. President Tinubu is going to achieve it. And funny enough, He's a man that has never failed.
Now, I'm wondering how this is going to happen, because when you look at states like Akwa Ibom over the years since 1999, Akwa Ibom has prided itself in saying that PDP, as a matter of fact, one of the governors and the political leaders in the state had said that if you go to a church and shout, "Praise the Lord," people might be tempted to say, "Power to the people," because PDP has become a household name and it's like a religion in that state. And Bayelsa State has seemingly had that stronghold, even when we had the principal actors in PDP move to the APC, Timipriye Silva and all of that. They didn't make much impact. But we had some tsunamis, I wouldn't call it a tsunami, in the southeast, where we had Dave Umahi, moving on to the APC and all of that. Do you foresee the strongholds of PDP in the South-South, particularly like in Akwa Ibom, really, losing grip as a result of this expansionist kind of thing you're talking about? And against the backdrop of the PDP crisis presently going on?
Look, like I said earlier on, President Tinubu is a strategist. He's too smart, he's too intelligent, he knows where to look, he knows what to do, he knows who to talk to, he knows who to call. Look, we already know that Senator Badre is from Akwa Ibom State and is on the opposition party. He's a member of APC.
Absolutely. He's a
leader of APC in the entire south of Nigeria. If you go to even Calabar, there's also opposition there. You go to where again? Here in the other side, we already know that there's opposition here. Imo State is already APC state. So you will see that President Tinubu is just like Nigeria, the crisis we are having in our governance in Nigeria. We already know that there are hidden hands behind the sabotage of our entire industries in Nigeria. The hidden hands that controls our crude oil and our natural resources. We all know that. That is how hidden hand, which we all know that the hidden hand in our socio-political aspect in the South-South is going to be triggered or influenced by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Now, when you say President Tinubu is an expansionist, and you go on to say that Tinubu is one who has that experience, and many Nigerians and even globally will see him as a Democrat, particularly against the backdrop of where he's coming from, the NADECO and the pro-democracy groups and all of that. Are you still on the firm foundation of belief that his expansionist approach, borrowing your words, is tended to make Nigeria a one-party state, which might not really be strongly a democracy? What's your take? How do you make of all this?
Politics is all about interest in our climb where we are, not ideology. So, and we all know that President Tinubu, he has interest in expanding. Even when Adams Oshiomhole became a governor in Edo State, when Osumbo was displaced, Professor Osumbo was displaced back then, it was the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that sponsored Adams Oshiomhole to become the governor of Edo State. So you see that even when President Obasanjo was a president, President Tinubu had more strength, more influence amongst the governors of the Southwest. This was a man that constructed the first IPP in Nigeria, Independent Power Plant. This was the man that advocated for local government autonomy that they have today. It was Tinubu that went to court using Osibajo, former Vice President, Yemi Osibajo, Attorney General,
Commissioner for Justice,
beautification and tourism, land matters, election, local government election. It was this same President Tinubu that advocated for all these laws, all these policies. But a lot of persons don't even know this. President Tinubu is, like I said, is one of the smartest, if not the smartest president that Nigeria has ever had.
All right, let's go a little away from that. You're still on to Matters Arising. I'm my guest, Victor Ojay. He's a human rights activist, but today he's talking politics, and he's really tailing along very well with us in view of the topics for discussion. But just before we move on to our next segment, we'll be looking at some other issues in the polity. The crisis in the PDP. Let's talk about that. Why do you think this is lingering? And do you see any end in sight? Just a few days ago, there was a near fracas, just before we continue with discussion. Let's take a look at that video and look at this embarrassing situation. Of course, we had officers elected, and some people had gone to court, and these other officers were removed from office, and the other ones who were sent out of office by court are saying they must be in that meeting, a BOT meeting, and this is what's ensued. I'm wondering, is this democracy? Some people say it's the beauty of democracy. But let's take a watch at this, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussion.
Okay, stop police. Okay.
All right, you heard it there. You saw it all there, and this is what is happening, democracy Nigerian style. All right, you saw the video there, and you are aware of the crisis there. So I want to know, Nigerians would want to know, where do you see this taking PDP to, and what will it portend for their chances in 2027?
You know, this is an artificial problem that is being sponsored. There's already interest to conquer PDP, to keep PDP divided. You can see the Minister of FCT is a member of PDP.
Yes, yes.
He has always hold his ground that he's going to mess the party up because of he feels that he was sidelined in the past presidential election of 2023 because he believes that he deserved to hold that vice presidential ticket because of his contributions to the party.
So are you actually saying Wike is also part of the problem of the PDP?
Of course, he's not hiding it. He's saying it openly. You know, Wike doesn't pretend. He tells you pop and play what he's going to do. He's not apologetic about it. So you see that the problem, the crisis, is being sponsored. It's a sponsored one, and it's going to linger. Even Labour Party also have their own fair share. Take note that, like what you see, that what happened at Wadata House, at the PDP headquarters.
Yeah, what we just watched a while
This
ago.
also happened in Kenya. It also happened in other third world countries in Africa. It's a normal phenomenon here in the third world. It's only in countries like United States, Canada, and most European countries that you see that they don't go physical.
Yeah, in the West you will have
the Western world
yeah.
and the European. But when you come to Africa, it's a regular phenomenon. If you go to Kenya, it's a norm. It's a norm. If you go to most African countries,
yeah, but I've seen some footages of even some Western parliaments and all of that. You know,
you hardly see Western parliament except Russia, except maybe those Tajikistan, all those former USSR regions.
Yeah,
that's where you can
Serbian
see.
Region.
Yeah, that's where you can see them going physical. But like in the United States, you can't see them going physical. Canada, no. So, but what happened at the PDP Wadata House is a regular phenomenon in the third world.
Do you think this has weakened opposition? Let's end from there.
Of course, it has weakened.
And what does that portend for our democracy?
It made it so obvious to the world that there is no unity. And when there is no unity, a house that is divided can never stand.
A house divided
So
can never
stand. So those who have ears, let them hear.
Yeah. Right, so to the PDP, if they have ears, let them hear.
Of course.
And then to the Labour Party, their own case seems to be a bit
It's similar. Labour Party has about 3 different factions.
Yes, that is prominently Abure-led faction, the Ninadi Usman faction, and which other one is coming up again. But all this is bringing the parties into confusion and making the opposition very weak.
Of course. That's why we are headed towards a one-party state in Nigeria.
Well, we wouldn't want to hope for that. That's the much we can take on this particular topic where we're looking at the issue of the opposition parties, particularly the PDP, and then the wave of defections, people running away from the opposition parties, going to the ruling party, perhaps looking for a safe landing or for sulker, as like my guest said, it's sometimes for personal interest. But if it's for the collective interest of the people they represent, talking about the politicians, let's see how this plays out. Well, all the same, I want to thank you very much for being part of this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much. All right, Victor J is a human rights activist and, of course, a very strong political pundit, and he's been doing justice. We'll go on this short break on matters arising, and when we come back, we'll be looking at the issues of illegal mining, and of course, we'll end by looking at something else if time permits. Illegal mining in Nigeria, a great challenge, and we are wondering, who are those smiling to the bank when Nigeria is grappling with the mono economy of just one mineral, which is oil? Stay with us. We'll be back shortly with yet another guest in the house. Welcome back. It's still Matters Arising in case you're still joining us. Matters Arising is where we look at the news and look at the news behind the news. Of course, on my next segment, we're talking about the issue of solid minerals. Now, it might interest you to know that Nigeria loses about 5 billion to illegal mining in 2 years. Now, the 1999 Constitution, particularly Section 44, subsection 3, states that the federal government owns and controls all mineral resources in the country. Now, the Constitution's primary purpose is to serve the citizens' best interest. Now, what does the Constitution say about mining in Nigeria? Let me be a bit more specific. Now, the federal government is responsible for the ownership and control of mineral resources. The federal government can transfer mineral resources to third parties, but only in accordance to the National Assembly's laws. The Constitution is the primary law in Nigeria, and any law that goes against it is invalid. Having said that, what other laws regulate mining in Nigeria? Now, the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act of 2007 is the primary law that regulates mining in the country. Now, talking about the Land Use Act, which governs the acquisition of land where minerals have been found in commercial quantity rather. But it's worrisome to note that over the years, when we have been grappling with the mono economy, talking about the oil economy, other mineral resources in the country where Nigeria had prided itself in over years, when you go to the north, you're talking about limestone, you're talking about columbite, you're talking about tin in Jos, and then steel in Ajaokuta, you're talking about coal in Enugu, gold in Zamfara, Kebbi, and in Ilesha, and surprisingly, I read a document that stated that there's even gold in Akwa Ibom state. I had to hold my breath. Well, having said that, I'm wondering, why is Nigeria not tapping into developing the mining of other solid minerals so that we can have a diversification away from oil and then let the Niger Delta breathe? Recently, a lot of people have been worried about the fact that there's been illegal mining taking place in the north central and even in Zamfara, Kebbi, and Jigawa axis. And some others have said the federal government has closed its eyes and allowed some people to illegally mine on and on. Let's get back to the South-South. Some persons have also been illegally mining and also drilling crude. And of course, these boys in the creeks have come up with illegal refineries. Both are very wrong when we go back to the laws that we had read before now. But did you know that the federal government has put up a very strong war against those who are drilling and refining oil in the South-South? Now, the JTF has been after them. There's been seizures after seizures, destroying of all those things, arrest upon arrest, all to ensure that the illegal drilling and refining of petroleum products comes to an end. But one will also ask, what's happening? Why is there no struggle or political will to ensure that illegal mining is ongoing in some parts of the country? Is it that we don't know? No, we do know. As a matter of fact, a lot of arrests have been done. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has at several instances arrested many illegal miners, particularly foreign nationals, Chinese more especially, in that part of the country, which means they know that there is illegal mining. Recently, Senator Adams Oshemale, who represents Edo North, under the All Progressives Congress at the Nigerian Senate had raised serious allegations about the involvement of some military officers and influential figures in illegal mining operations across Nigeria. Now, the senator spoke at a session and he accused retired military officers and other powerful individuals of facilitating illegal mining activities that have enriched a select few while impoverishing the country. Yes, impoverishing the country, because if those minerals were mined and the monies or revenues from those illegal mining came into the coffers of the country, then Nigerians will not be impoverished. Having said that, it becomes a worrisome situation. Let's listen to Senator Adams Oshomole, and when we come back, we'll look at these issues with my guest.
Those involved in this illegal mining, they use choppers. They procure arms exactly the same way as our military were doing in the South. They give them arms. They use choppers to come and cut away the gold. And they take them out of this country and make billions of US dollars. And the federal government is not doing what it should be doing. I took this letter to the former president when I was national chairman of APC. And I said, call the general to give you more brief. In fact, what is happening, or what subsequently happened in that part of the country, was exactly what the general told me was going to happen. Because these guys have been weaponized by the illegal big men who deploy them, secure territories, and the weapon is meant to protect the Chinese and other foreigners who they actually employ to carry out the mining. And on occasion, they use the same weapon to carry out banditry, kidnapping, and all of the terrible things that are going on. Chief of Committee Chairman of Defense Staff, tell the defense I said so. That some retired military officers, army officers are involved in it. The day we can't tell the truth, this country cannot flourish. We can't change our, when it affects our people, we are at our best. We talk strong. Some other people appear to be above the law. That is what is going on with solid mineral. It is not that we don't know where it is. We have a whole survey of where we have what across the length and breadth of Nigeria. We also know, everybody complaining about certain people from certain nationalities. How they got here, even as we are talking now, they are doing those illegal mining. And those guys are getting richer when Nigeria State is getting poorer. But we carry the consequences of banditry, kidnapping, and that which these on illegal armed men, which they equip. Sir, who can afford to buy a chopper to land in an illegal mining site, cut away gold, return to Sediti, and then on the way to airport, bam, take them out of the country? This is happening. So I agree with you, but my position is that we shouldn't, as senators, be lamenting. As senators, we should fix the problem. We should tell the executive, you must deploy exactly the same force that you deploy against illegal oil bunkering. That same force should be deployed to deal with criminals who are money. When I say criminal, it can be a retired general, it can be a retired permanent secretary, it can be a retired trade unionist or a retired labor leader. Whoever is involved, they should be dealt with. Let Nigeria see that we are not condoning this. We are not lamenting what is going on.
All right, you've heard him there. We've had military officers are involved, so says Adams Oshomole. But meanwhile, before I go to my guest, it might interest you to know that a former military officer, talking about retired General Bamidele Oluwami, yes, I think I got that right, has faulted Senator Adams Oshomole's allegation that retired generals are behind illegal mining activities in Nigeria, pointing out that the allegation that highly placed persons, including retired generals, were involved in illegal mining was false. And of course, he says that the people are not unknown. So if we know them, why are we not bringing them out? Now, that statement had ignited widespread concern and criticism, particularly from retired officers who feel targeted by the allegation. However, a statement during the week by retired Major General Oluomi described Oshomale's remarks as reckless, baseless, offensive, and accusing the senator of tarnishing the reputation of generals that have served the country with honor. It is on this note that I will bring the discussion to the floor. Joining me on the program today is a cerebral young man who is so versed in so many issues in the polity, and talking about a human rights activist also. We've had an activist earlier on the program, talking about Tony Charles, Tony Onoche. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I had a hard knot trying to remember your names. I was trying to be sure that I add the comrade and don't miss the comrade. Yeah, you're very welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's get straight to the business. You've had the preamble of what we brought there.
Yes.
Nigeria has lost several billions of dollars to illegal mining. And you agree with me that if the mining sector is brought back alive, it will go a long way in cushioning the effect of our economy that has been so stringently dependent on oil for several decades. Now, what do you make of this accusation of Senator Oshomale? Why at this point?
You know, after watching the video, it makes me, every time, I've seen this video before, and just now, it makes me very, very emotional. It makes me, because, you know, I am very passionate about the welfare, the development of our youth, and the amount of resources, the amount of resource that will come from this, if not for the diversion of these minerals, the amount of resources that would have come to the youth for the development of our nation, it would have been enormous. So actually, I think they are just playing with us, which is what they have been doing. Retired major generals, why are you not naming them? The other man says, you know who it is.
That they're not unknown.
They are not unknown. Why are you not naming them? They are playing politics. This is what they have always been doing, and this is what they continue to do. They always try to play with the minds of Nigerians, and it is wrong. They should come out plainly and name them. And if those retired major generals feel that they are not complicit, they can sue him to court and, or, you know, take some legal steps to ensure he names the right people, so that their names will be exonerated.
Yeah, because Oshomale, when he was putting out his postulations at the Senate, he was very confident, and he sounded very, very, extra confident, if you like. And for me, I think he perhaps knows some of these persons, because the audacity with which he put out his statement seems very, very strong. Now, if these people are named, now why are they not being named? You recall the issue of terrorists, where a minister of the Federal Republic of this country, I think in the last...
Sponsors.
Yes, we know the sponsors, but we won't name them. So what do you make of all this?
That is what I am telling you, that this is politics. Sometimes these people, they come out publicly, maybe they want to negotiate for something, so they make such statements to get attention of the people that they want to deal with. I have this information, so I have come publicly for people to know. Because if he was in the best interest of the nation, why, even with his qualification, with his status, he's supposed to be working in the best interest of the country. So it shouldn't be an issue calling the naming the people.
Do you think he's doing it because he's not well placed? Some people, in politics, people feel if I can't get it, I destroy it. If I'm not there, I speak against it. And if I'm there, I will not speak against it.
I think he's not even trying to expose anybody. Retired major generals. How many retired major generals do we have in this country? There are several of them.
But he has exposed the fact. Well, many Nigerians will not believe that he has exposed the fact, because it's already no news that there's been illegal mining going on.
We already know that the upper echelon have always been involved in this diversion and all these corrupt practices. So it is no news, because we cannot act on whatever information that he has provided.
All right. Now, there is a newspaper report, particularly from Daily Post, which is coming up on your screen now, where the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps had arrested a couple of Chinese. And you can see the pictures there. The Chinese were arrested for illegal mining. And we're also worried that some other people have also been arrested in other instances, still for illegal mining. Let me just ask Comrade Onochi, do you think it's just arresting them is enough? Have we heard of prosecutions thus far? Or do you think those who send them, because these Chinese are foreign nationals, they won't just come to Nigeria on their own. Somebody facilitates their coming in.
Somebody opened the door for them to come in.
Of course.
Yes, I cannot say because I am not privy to that information, but it is quite unlikely that they are being persecuted. You see, one thing about the one major issue with crime in the crime in Nigeria, in the fighting crime in Nigeria, if you have noticed, if really people who commit crime are truly prosecuted, it will serve as a strong deterrent to others. So if other people keep coming, and besides, this Chinese, like you rightly observed, they are just they are down below the food chain. There are more serious
in between
people. Yes,
they can tell.
Yes, we should get to them. Have you heard the story of what happens over there? So you see, there are a lot of laws that are violated daily in this country. I heard that people, foreigners, fly in straight to Zamfara. They violate our airspace laws.
Yeah, because the distinguished senator had also said very equivocally that they do these activities. They even have soldiers that protect these foreign nationals, and then they eventually get this gold on choppers and fly them out. This is according to Adam Shomale. Now, I'm wondering, is not the common Nigerian that actually has the ability to pay for choppers and transport this illegally, processed products outside the country? This goes on to buttress the fact that there's some top people up there. What you're thinking?
Of course. And there are a lot of crimes that have been committed. Money laundering, because they pay for these things in cash, as stated by him. They pay in cash.
Perhaps in dollars.
Cash in dollars. So we don't have our banking systems. We don't have any record of the inflow or outflow. And these monies are introduced into the system via backdoor. Then do you know another implication? We keep wondering how come in that region we are unable to overcome this issue of insurgency, this Boko Haram and all this. Why? How come? And you have your answer. That means these people are being funded by this cartel that deal on this gold mine. Because as you know, when as they continue to this illegal mining, these men that are involved in illegal mining, as they deal on this in that region, they ensure that the insecurity continues so that nobody comes around there. It is just left for them. I think that is what is happening.
And among these cartels, do you see a divide and rule kind of situation? Everybody is struggling for colonies in these areas where we have the mineral resources.
Yes.
And there must be a connectivity between this issue of the bandits that, well, we give them different names, terrorists, bandits, and all of that. But let's, for purpose of emphasis, the ones that operate within the Zamfara, Nasarawa axis, they call them bandits, okay? They're all criminals. Now, is there a nexus between the activities of these bandits and this influx of armed men who are actually carrying out, operations in these illegal activities of mining?
I believe so, yes. I should believe so. There is I believe there is a power, there is usually a power play, because it's, so they, something that is illegal. So from time to time, someone wants to get more than, so there's land grabbing. Yes. So from time to time they have issues, and that is why we see external news. We see what we see surface news. Let's say surface stories. You see bandits that have raided or killed, some people.
But we don't really know what is the remote cause.
Yes. And we have also heard that military are being used. So sometimes when you hear that the military have killed bandits, it could just be one baron
against the other
baron.
That could be another interesting dimension to it all, if you ask me. Well, let's look at it beyond this. The defense headquarters, the chief of defense staff, has also been worried about these issues. I remember a few statements by him over this issue of banditry and illegal, activities in this area. What do you think should be the role of the Nigerian defense system, talking about the military? And of course, would I say it's beyond the police? Of course, we have all other security apparatus. We have the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. We have the Nigerian Police Force. We have the Nigerian military, the armed forces, the Nigerian Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. I'm sure they all have the wherewithal to nip this in the bud. Why do you think this is not happening?
They do not. If somebody is highly placed, if someone as highly placed as Adams Oshemele cannot mention names, what do you expect these officers to do? They are,
No, but I'm thinking if Adams Oshemele, a senator, knows these things, and he knows these things, who should know better? I think those who are in the intelligence agencies, the DSS, the Nigerian military, the police.
These men are governed by laws. The police, the army, they cannot act beyond the directives or orders given to them. And who gives them the orders? If it's not the presidency or the Senate, then who? So if a highly placed, very influential senator cannot even come out to mention the names of the culprits, the suspected, the people who are involved, because that is where the order comes from. That is where the funding comes from.
Some Nigerians had believed that the reason why the former Minister of Information had said he's not going to release the names of the sponsors of terrorism varied. Some people had said in our comment section in most of our interactive programs, they said perhaps if they bring up the names, it's going to be opening up a can of worms against itself. They might find people within the government who are involved. Some people said it's because if you mention the names, the perpetrators or these people who are involved might flee and all of that. But whether they flee or whether those people were internally within the system of the government or the party, the issue was that nothing had changed thereafter. Now, do you see anything changing, even if the names of these people were dished out to the public?
It would build public confidence if these names are, yes, I see, yes. First of all, it shows a commitment to change from that side. So it will build public confidence, and we need a lot of that right now in government, because you can see sometimes even the government is doing a good job, and because of the lack of confidence, the people don't believe. So sometimes the opposition people, they come and they spread lies and false news, and people just
swallow it.
Yes. So such acts would actually help to build public confidence in government.
All right, let's advise all the parties. Let's advise, because there are so many things. We've talked about the security agencies, we'll talk about the governments, we'll also talk about the people. Some people said that this thing started with the locals, beginning to do little mining here and there, to the extent that they even used IEDs to cause explosions, to do some little minings, and these had caused untold, wanton destruction of lives and property in that area. Also, we're told that the activities of these illegal miners had brought about that iodine introduced into the wells where there was poisoning, lead poisoning and all of that. What's your advice to the government? What's your advice to the military? And what's your take to the people?
If we are talking generally, like what I mean generally is, if we are talking about the north and the south, or are we just talking about the north? If we are talking about the north, there are no more people there. The people have been chased away from their places. The only people who are there are the illegal miners, the bandits or the military people, whoever, the armed people, and that's just it. So, but my advice to the government is, we see, or that recently we just saw, or we are seeing the steps that Donald Trump is taking to America first. So most times we wonder, most of these our leaders people who are in this, they have made so much for themselves. They have amassed a lot of wealth. They have achieved, accomplished, and they are at the peak of their career, at the peak of their life. And you wonder, what else do you want to achieve, if not Nigeria first? So we implore them, we beg them, we beseech them. But let Nigeria come first. If they can just, put Nigeria first, what would they gain from? Most of them, some of them are not involved. I would not point fingers if I don't have direct evidence. But some just look and they look away. They look away where they are supposed to talk. So I want to beseech them, they are our elders, for the sake of posterity, for the sake of our children, and
generations yet unborn.
Yes.
Suffice to say, you are simply advocating for a political will from the political leaders to ensure that we have equity, justice, and the right thing done in these areas.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so very much. We really appreciate that, and we want to thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you very much.
My guest in the last couple of minutes is Comrade Tony Onoche. He's a civil rights activist, and of course a very savvy person when it comes to socio-political issues. Thank you so very much for being on the program. We hope to have you sometime back when we have some other dicey issues to discuss.
Thank you so much.
All right, this is just how we'll drop anchor on matters arising today. I want to thank you. Keep the conversation going. You can join us on our various channels on your screen there, various platforms, social media handles on our screen there. Let the conversation continue, and let's see how we can add value to making our society better. From this end, we'll continue remaining very patriotic, and we urge you out there to remain patriotic. They usually would say that patriotism is saying thank you for what your nation has done for you. So leaders, do something very well so that the nation can actually serve the people well, so that we can build and encourage patriotism, so that we can actually say patriotism is love for your nation. Have I confused you there? I don't think so. Well, be a good citizen until we come your way next week with yet another edition of the program. Stay safe and ensure that you are a law-abiding citizen. My name is Charles Bassi, signing off, and bye for now.